Hey guys, this is my first video I've ever made. What I wanted to make this for was to convert a theory I made on Reddit over to a YouTube video for those who prefer to watch it like this. Excuse any errors in editing, still getting used to making videos and such. The theory was about the Duchess G-toilet father-daughter relationship. I provided lots of evidence for it and went into great detail. My first point was about the clear parallels in their rage mode, or psycho mode. They both, when they were attacked, screamed very loudly and used all their lasers, with G-Man in the past having laser eyes and Duchess having laser eyes and a mouth laser too. This isn't strong evidence, but shows the similar characteristics between them. These two images I've shown you show how similar they look. Then, similarly, the double eyebrow raise is something only they do. Again, another close parallel, with no other characters doing this throughout the series, making it unique to these two. Still weak evidence, but the real interesting stuff is yet to come, so stay tuned. Just something to add on before my main points. Boom at one point was asked if G-toilet is related to any astros in a steak interview, and he did say yes. Watch this video clip first to understand my next points.
You know there is no choice, but I know what it's like. See your shadow suffer, and later to heaven. Join me, and your legacy shall never know oppression again. You have my word. Word? What's the price of your words? One of your diamonds is in their possession. So you know fair to. What special is? We shall do what's necessary when time comes. They would have to find me first. Find you, are you dreaming?
Okay, now that you've watched the whole conversation, I want to draw your attention to this part here. I know what it's like seeing your child suffer, just like Juggernaut G-toilet saw his children suffer, but even despite his high rank he was unable to help. As you can see here, this child who suffers is the exact same person as the person he knows with special request. Now I want to focus first on the suffers part. I will show a clip from episode 79 of Something Duchess Says, which I think could mean something deeper.
Choke your grief. The cosmos hears no cries. Only power speaks.
Now, as we can see, Titan TV mourns himself killing his comrades, and Duchess claims he should choke his grief. Cosmos hears no cries and only power speaks. Now I want you to assume here that Duchess is indeed G-toilet's child. I will tell you the reasons later on, but for my current point, this is important. With this assumption then, we can understand that Duchess was probably tortured as a child even whilst G-toilet was an astro commander. Firstly, this could have been one of the main reasons G-toilet betrayed the astros. Such a high-ranking respected commander can't even protect his own child from torture, most likely from Duke, and it could have opened up his eyes to how cruel the astro truly are. I think a lot of people nowadays always of course assume G-toilet to be very noble and good, but I highly doubt he was always like this. G-toilet has always been very psychotic, just like Duchess, and perhaps this was some sort of awakening moment for him where he started to change his ways and see the consequences of his actions. Now, we will move back to focus on Duchess and her voice lines I mentioned earlier. This could have been something told to her in the past. Perhaps Duke or other astros told this to her. Something devastating may have happened to her in the past, or be even G toilets, betrayal left her feeling abandoned and betrayed herself. Maybe she was also forced to kill her own kind or someone close. Over this, she felt really intense grief. Then, maybe other astros told her this exact thing, and considering how emotionless most higher up astros are, it would make sense they would tell her this. Perhaps she was even punished for showing strong emotion, considering how cruel the astros are. This made her realize that showing grief or sadness is a weakness and respect cannot be earned this way. This caused her to bottle up her emotions and take out all this sadness and grief out on others. She couldn't express the grief, so it just came out in a very sadistic nature to her enemies, where she eventually started to love torturing them, as it brought her joy, turning her into something she wasn't previously, exactly as the astros wanted. Furthermore, I would like to point out how she's a duchess and is therefore a very high power position. Duchesses are, generally speaking, married into royal families and not directly part of it, so perhaps an arranged marriage was done with her being married to Duke for the sake of power, which, as we know, that's really all the astros care about. Maybe once the Duchess saw how much more respect it buys of people, and therefore, with the influence of Duke, who's powerful himself, her obsession for power grew, and at the same time, her morality went down as she realized the only thing that buys you anything in this empire is power. If G Toilet as a commander wasn't even able to protect his own child from suffering, Duchess also realized that being in the royal positions is where you finally don't get treated as expendable and with no respect. If my theory is correct, this could be what G Toilet was referring to when he said his child suffered, and also explains why Duchess is the way she is, as I doubt G Toilet would let his own daughter become this deranged. As soon as she married Duke, she basically sold her last parts of her morality, again being another sadistic, emotionless astro. This could mean that Duchess serves as the perfect manifestation of how warped the astro mentality is and how cruel they are. They can break anyone down. I feel like Boom wouldn't add those voice lines in 79 and all this emphasis on children suffering without a deeper meaning. After all, Boom himself mentioned that there's been subtle hints about Duchess and possibly a whole other side to her character not explored yet. I've tried to analyze between the lines and fill some gaps as I go along based on logic, but again, Boom is unpredictable, so I could be all wrong. Now, we will finally get back to the part I mentioned earlier, which is the main actual evidence of this theory. I already analyzed the suffering part and how, if we assume she is his child, what that could mean, but now here is the rest of the convo of Juggernaut and G Toilet. Let's discuss Juggernaut's response to what G Toilet said earlier. This is the biggest piece of evidence for this theory, in my opinion, as the whole sequence about Duchess. If you understand the context of what's being said, Juggernaut starts by stating, "One of your titans is in their possession." This is an obvious call back to episode 77, full episode where Titan TV Man becomes infected by the astros. Titan TV's infection is the original context of his words. After this he says someone, you know, is there too, with special request. Now, we know the someone he knows is the same as the child who suffers, shown earlier. But what does there mean? Where is there? Without context it could talk about literally anywhere in the universe, or just the astros as a whole. But, as we have the context, we know what it's talking about. The first line being about Titan TV Man's infection shows us this is talking about the scene in 77. In particular, the final scene of the infection itself. There's only 3 characters in that scene. An astro carrier, Duchess, overseer. A carrier obviously doesn't make sense to be the child who suffers, so I've ruled him out. Then, you could say, well, we know G-Toilet knows about overseer, and they even had a rivalry in the past, so why can't it be him? It can't be him, as firstly, he is 100% not G-Toilet's child and physically looks to be around the same middle-aged age as him. Also, G-Toilet wouldn't be shocked or emotional when he is mentioned, as we saw in the scene that he was. Then this leaves Duchess. Physically speaking, even she looks young. The rest look like middle-aged men, and she looks like a younger woman. Her less serious demeanor makes her seem less battle-hardened, backing this point. G-Toilet himself may be middle-aged based on his experience and face. I wanted to talk about, though, the special request part, but what even is a special request? I believe it to be a request from a member of nobility or royalty, as they would be classed as special. There's only one scene, I believe, which even comes remotely close to a request. This being the scene in episode 76, where Overseer asks Duchess if she wants to participate. She replies with, "I won't break my promise." This promise, I believe, was one made to Duke, and the terms were that she goes down to earth and baits out G-Toilet so they can execute him. Perhaps she did it due to make up for something she did that upset Duke in the past, or a favor, or for more power. This also kind of confirms why she's on Earth in the first place, as she's not part of the military and doesn't need to be here. It's not like Earth is a hard planet for them to conquer, as Boom confirmed it's nowhere near the hardest they've come across. Overseer in this scene was simply telling her that it could be dangerous and came to confirm if she's ready to do this and wants to do this. By her saying she won't break her promise, she showed that she does want G-Toilet dead and will risk her own health to do that. Also shows her lack of fear here too. Then one more point on this, the facial expressions both of them show when someone else mentioned each other to them. When Juggernaut mentioned Duchess to G-Toilet, you can clearly see this sort of shocked or saddened expression on his face. This shows he does have feelings for her, even if she's deranged and on the opposite side or the enemy. Similarly, when Duchess hears Mafia mention G-Toilet and says, "Not even you, girl, will be safe from his wrath," even she puts this sort of emotional face on, exactly like G-Toilet, with a clear parallel between the two. With this, though, when they were mentioned, the context is very important. With the Juggernaut conversation, after special request, he says, "Would you do what's necessary when time comes?" Considering the context of this, I believe he means, would you kill Duchess when time comes? G-Toilet's response, "They would have to find me first," is essentially yes, him dodging the question or putting a term between it. If G-Toilet was so adamant on killing her and getting Juggernaut on his side, why wouldn't he say, "Yes, I would"? This, I believe, is setting up a personal conflict with G-Toilet, where he doesn't actually want to kill the Duchess. He clearly still cares about her. Juggernaut's angry response to this, saying, "Find you? Are you kidding me?" further reinforces this, as he's not even sure if he can trust G-Toilet to kill the main threat and one of the main leaders, so how can he trust that his family and children are safe on his side and trust him? Then, in episode 79, part to Mafia Mutant with confidence says G-Toilet will stop at nothing and not even her. Just like Juggernaut in season 25, who also discussed killing Duchess, and as I said, G-Toilet dodging the question. So does Mafia, but instead says G-Toilet has no limits. This speech by Mafia will most likely be proven wrong, though, as we just established, G-Toilet still cares about her and is not going to just straight up kill her with no hesitation. Both instances of where this sad look is shown, G-Toilet killing Duchess is the subject. Even Duchess herself states we shall see, meaning I don't think even she's convinced G-Toilet will outright show no mercy on her. She almost says it, sarcastically too, and she would know him better than anyone else. Narratively speaking even, it makes no sense to establish a literal father-daughter relationship for two people on opposite sides of the war, and one being extremely hated by almost everyone on the Alliance's side for there to be no conflict, and all these signs like him dodging the question we shall see, and even Mafia's speech getting disproven to mean nothing, and G-Toilet just swoops along and kills her with no hesitation. That's why I think that the Skibidi Toilets who absolutely despise Duchess, shown by Berserker calling her insults, and Mafia saying not even she is free from G-Toilets, wrath as well as the Alliance, will become incredibly pissed once they realize G-Toilet isn't committing to killing her like they thought he would. I don't think it would cause a literal civil war within the Skibidi Toilets, but it would cause tension, maybe something similar to 76 where the cameramen were pissed at the TV men for abandoning their allies. This may similarly to the cameramen going out to attack without thinking in 77 lead to a bad outcome for our side of the war, as the complete loyalty to G-Toilet in the Skibidi Toilets we've seen so far may come to an end. This may give Duchess more motivation to continue her deeds as she realizes that nothing will happen to her from G-Toilet as he ain't a threat. So, she may become more deranged and mad. Now I've finally covered and dissected everything from the convo in season 25 and the speech Mafia Mutant gave. Finally, we will move on to my next points. Most of the main points have been covered now, but these last ones solidify my claim of this theory, and the other stuff I have discussed. It all links back. Another reference, the single eyebrow raise. Both G-Toilet and Duchess do this, though I would like to point out others like scientist Skibidi Toilet have also done it, so unlike the double eyebrow raise, this one in an exclusive to these two. G-Toilet, however, has done it the most by far, and it's generally regarded as his expression the most. Continuing with the references, we have another one. This time, a voice line reference instead. The fools, you have no idea what's coming, but done by Duchess, but instead of the what, it's replaced with a who's. This is again purely exclusive to these two, as no one else has said anything remotely close to this in the series. A clear reference. Interestingly enough, when G-Toilet did it, he was saying it directly, facing and talking to Titan TV man, warning of the astros. When Duchess said it, however, it was also talking in reference to Titan TV man, but this time he was the astros. How poetic, isn't it? Either way, the clear connection to Titan TV man both times it was said just further reinforces how unique these voice lines are. Not only the fact only these two have said it, but that the person they were talking to or about was both times Titan TV man. Both of these characters have these psychotic modes, and both of the faces they make when in them are very similar, weirdly to similar. Yeah, a lot of people argue, well, a lot of characters make very exaggerated faces, but this here is just completely the same. When others do it, their faces still look slightly different and changed. Here, the slanted, curved in eyebrows, fat and flattened nose, extremely wide smile reaching all the way to the cheeks, and small amount of space between the nose and the lips, as well as the extremely wide, long eyes, and presence of their full pair of teeth make it a clear-cut reference to each other. Again, inheriting genes and facial expressions and features of each other. Again, I believe this Similarity was intentional by Boom to provide more evidence for this theory. Now, yet another reference we have is these faces they make before they are about to go crazy. Both make very weird facial movements and then proceed to lock in, which was captioned like that both times. These two faces and moments are both eerily similar to each other. The ability to lock in and become serious in a moment whenever you wish, like this, is something not seen in any other character in the series. The Skibidi toilets always make these type of faces but don't lock in, and then you have Overseer, who's always serious and locked in. This makes these two unique for this feature, with the perfect balance of craziness and seriousness. About this next part, since I've made this post, Boom has updated us on what the full scene will be, and therefore a lot of what I said here is now probably not correct, but there are still some points relevant. I will make a new prediction instead. Alright, so what I initially thought was that we wouldn't see the end of this cliffhanger in the full episode, but just like in episode 77 where we simply transitioned away from TV women and scientist TV looking sad after the base was attacked to Titan TV being infected without the use of a tablet, I thought that would happen. I also thought that Detective and the squad scene wouldn't die as firstly Detective is too new and important to just die, and large TV man is incredibly important and a big fan favorite to die too. Too big of a character to die just yet. I still believe this to be true even now. What I thought was that we were going to switch POV like I said earlier, but to the outside of the camera base where Duchess is alone as all the other troops chase the survivors, including the Watchmen. I thought G-Toilet would arrive and talk to her, and just like in 77 with Juggernaut, bait her to follow him and talk to her privately, and that convo would have been in 80. But Boom said full episode will be set in the speaker base, disproving this theory. I still think in 80 Duchess and G-Toilet will meet and talk, possibly being where their relation is officially revealed, as 80 is said to be a big ep with lots of twists and reveals. It makes sense. But then, what about her development from full EP through to 80 that Boom said? Now I have two ideas for this. One is the boring one, and is that it somehow already happened. Some have suggested that because this was said before part by 79 full Boom meant part 2. In this case, I would assume it to be the line Mafia said, and Duchess's sad reaction. This would make the statement by Boom quite misleading. That, which we saw in the episode, wasn't really character development. It was just another hint at this relationship of family theory. Her character barely changed at all, and we didn't really learn anything new at all. That's why I've also made another possibility for her development. I think the development will be shown through the void. As we know, this dark dimension can display memories of your past and future scenes. We saw Buzzsaw Mutants past, for example in 78. That's why I believe either through Hunter or Watchmen's flashbacks, or even a future event concerning them, we may see some more Duchess in them, more likely through the Watchmen. Perhaps she may be torturing the Watchmen or engaged in a conversation with someone else that reveals some interesting details. This theory ties in well with the final scenes of 79 and what we know of the Void. Secondly, I wanted to talk about these subtle hints Boom's been talking about since the beginning, he says, which I assume means since episode 76. He's left some hints which possibly add another side to her, which we may not have seen. I believe these to be what I analyzed, including the promise she made and all the evidence I've detailed for this theory. Also the fact she is suffering And a big point is probably a deeper meaning behind the Cosmos hears no cries dialogue. Boom also said that G-Toilet and one other character will be the centerpiece of the 80 episodes. Now I have two theories for this. One is that it's Juggernaut, considering the dynamic between the two and this whole if you don't join me your children will be parentless and their whole brotherly dynamic with each other in the past. Another is of course Duchess, her and G-Toilet's past being explored and the reveal of them being father and daughter. They will fight each other, probably, and we will learn of their feelings for one another and see some development between the two. Boom will explore both of course, but I feel G-Toilet Duchess is just so much more interesting due to the fact there's more drama and stakes surrounding them. When Boom was asked who G-Toilet was afraid of with Duke being given as an example, he replied initially with G-Toilet is afraid of nothing, and then added, on except one thing. Now some say, oh, it's Titan TV man, and they say this as G-Toilet seems scared of him in the past. I disagree. I believe Boom is talking firstly about current day and secondly even in the past. A lot of why it seemed G-Toilet was scared was because of his tactical retreats, as Boom used the term, thing. I don't believe it's talking about a specific person per se. The use of the word thing makes me feel like it's some sort of event or moment that will happen. I believe this to be the moment G-Toilet is forced to either see Duchess die or have to kill her himself. I mean his reaction to Juggernaut mentioning her, and when he asked would you kill her shows he has feelings for her and probably is hesitant to kill her. This is what he's scared of and why he said, I'll us hide so they can't find me and I don't get forced to kill her. This already shows weakness and maybe his hesitation will come back to bite him. That concludes all the theories and evidence I've compiled together. The original post itself took about 2 hours of writing, and this video editing took even longer. I didn't expect for this to get close to basically 30 minutes in length. I thought it would be closer to 10 to 20 minutes in length. As this was my first time editing with CapCut, there was some difficulties, and apologies if some of the video seems quite basic if you can say. Main point was just to get this theory out there. I've put quite a bit of effort into this, so like and subscribe. I don't plan on doing any more analysis videos or being a regular channel doing them. This was just one of my bigger projects or essays that I got pretty positive reviews on in the original post, and some said you should convert it into a video as well. My original post even got pinned on the Reddit, which I was quite surprised about. I really hope other analysis channels deep dive this much and get all the evidence and so on with theories. There are some up and coming analysis channels, such as a really underrated one called The Critical Speakerman, whose theories are quite in depth and logical, so I'm glad to see that. Anyways, I've said what I needed to say, so this is me signing off. See ya.